Hello, Manand, and welcome to the continuation of our reading of Night Road. And just so everybody is aware, I do have the expansion pack for Night Road because, you know, book expansion packs, thumbs up. But we're in the middle of the story still, and we're like on this little place where Camarilla kind of got attacked, and you're like on the whodunit vibe. And I stopped in the middle of this chapter the last time, so I had to replay some of it, so I kind of hope that I got the choices the exact same way that they were, and if I didn't, then oh well. They only differentiate by a teeny bit then. Also, I am quite happy that this camera isn't too good. This dress is quite sexy. A bit more than it should have been because I got another one. This wasn't expensive, but the material is very sheer. So like I said, I'm kind of happy that it doesn't show, but you can totally see my bra through it. Dresses. I'm also so not happy with this lighting because it's washing off my hair color. It's not lamp. It's like I have two modes, which is washed out and too dark. Go figure. But anyways, I don't remember if we did the systematic and intelligent investigation of physical environment of the Elysium. I believe that we did. Yeah, I believe that we actually did. Oh yeah, we did because of the fridge thing. But I believe that that's where we stopped the last time and we didn't do investigation of anything else. So you know what, I'll head outside, flash some money around and learn on the grifters and no lives there until someone tells me something useful, because I mean, I could go and try and charm the dance floor, but like, I have no dancing skills, so that's probably a bad idea. Fledgling and neonate kindreds circulate along the walls. Though not allowed to feed here, they congregate at the edge of the dance floor to exchange gossip. Has anyone heard about what happened in Phoenix? I got a friend there. I think it's safe. That Bruja, that one who got driven out by the last prince, made some kind of deal and now everyone's lying low. And has anyone heard from Dallas? Just what you see on the news, all the house fires, scavengers surround the Viper like seagulls around a fishing boat. Junkies, scene kids, pushers, and tryhards skulk around the alleys and parking lots, trying to get inside or trying to exploit those who want in. You start with the addicts, but they don't know anything. Yeah, I would figure very little would register when you're just going from drug fix to drug fix. Is there any reason to even ask these people? You keep working, peeling off 20s and hoping to get somewhere, but it's pretty obvious you're getting stonewalled and played. When one of them starts trying to lure you into an alley in an obvious attempt to rob you, you have to back off before someone ends up dead. Not you, obviously. There's a ripple of excitement from the kindred when Alexander appears and speaks with Dove. Rumor has it that Leto will appear soon. It's time to decide what you want to do with what you know. That dumb waiter behind the fridge that you're sure isn't supposed to be there. Yeah, I'm just gonna tell Dove. I know that money's like important for Survivor and everything, but I'm just really trying to get into Leto's pants, so I'm not gonna ask for money for that. This is of the off chance that Dove will be like, yep, this girl's very useful, Leto, maybe go on a date with her, you know? I'm pretty sure that that's not how these things work, but you never know. Whew! My candle nearly hardened. I make new candles out of old ones to use up all the wax, and originally it was a pink and a red one, and I think I put some white in there as well, but because it's old wax and because it mixed funny, it kind of looks unhealthy. Kinda looks like I made a candle out of people, honestly. That's okay, things happen. You head up to the Dove and Carlos and explain everything you learned. Even the ghoul looks a little impressed. Prince Leto is still busy and keeps the excited crowd waiting another hour. There's a flutter of nervous excitement as someone else appears the steps, but it's just Dove carrying a blood-dotted backpack. Who still has a phone? She says. I said, who still has a phone? A few people hold up their flip phones. Someone has a Samsung Galaxy. Oof, that's gonna be expensive. Throw them out, Dove says. We're done with phones. That's how they got tracked. Alas, curious, our tricks don't work anymore. She starts working through the crowd, and while Dove seems to like you, that won't buy you any leniency here. You're in the back. I mean, we say that we need our phone, but we're going through burner phones like crazy here. Like, our dudes that we flipped off in the parking lot before, kept on giving us new ones, so it's not like it belongs to me, and it's not like it's an expensive thing, so, yeah. I'll toss it out. And I totally trust Camarilla, and I'm not planning to just bone a prince. That's totally not my endgame. Once all the phones are collected, Prince Leto finally ascends to the rooftop of Elysium. Well done, you! You have finally arrived. Despite the aura of fear that pervades the Viper, the prince is immaculate. He strides confidently past you, not even looking your way. Oh! Senpai, please notice me! He wears a white cotton suit, his unruly blonde hair pulled back by a black ribbon. Two armadillos follow him as he works the crowd, comforting the sincerely worried Kindred and Hangerzon. Then he spends a few minutes talking to Dove. His eyes are fixed on the eastern horizon, though Dove looks west towards the highway. He finally notices you. His gray hairs are calm. His gray eyes, not hairs. That's my hair, not his hair. Come on, me. Calm and steady. It's like none of the worry that pervades this gun is allowed to touch its prince. Come with me, Babylon, he says. We have to discuss Julian Sim. It's not like any muscle shows up to move you along. Leto doesn't need it. He just waves you through the glass box overlooking the dance floor to a short hallway lined with iron gates. It opens and Alexander steps through. He bows to the prince. Where is he? Leto says. He escaped, sir, Alexander says. But it's not dawn yet, and the Malkavians may yet find him! Ah yes, trust the people that have trouble discerning what is real and what is not real in order to hunt down your enemies. That's... Might find him, or they might find the stop sign, you never know. I wanted the spy brought in for questioning, or failing that, destroyed outright, Leto says, not showing any irritation, and you sent the lunatics. Yeah! Alexander flinches like a slapped dog. Babylon worked hard to discover how he was transmitting messages right outside her hallway. You have wasted her time and mine. I'm most sorry. Go upstairs and tell Dove that the spy has escaped. Leto tells his ghoul. Do not tell her that it was because you sent lunatics instead of the old Princess Childer. The hallway ends in double doors that open on the Eagle Prince's private office. Make yourself comfortable, Leto says, gesturing to a selection of overstuffed armchairs and settling behind a heavy oak desk. Ah, those very few songs in RuneScape that actually have words, and it's very pretty. Not the most fitting song for Armchair's conversation with the prince, but what can you do? Also, when he said overstuffed. I thought that it was gonna be like stuffies. I don't know why. So I just assumed that we're gonna be sitting on a giant bunny. Which honestly would be quite the vibe, but unfortunately no. This place is a hall of memories and mementos, paintings, photos, old weapons, strange treasures, many of them of great antiquity and beauty. You see a tapestry labeled the Lumbango, books in several languages, trinkets of all kinds. Ah yes! Let's just unapologetically choose the only option that's about hitting on the prince. We're just never gonna stop. It's nice to be alone with Leto for once. Everything that has happened hasn't diminished my fondness for him. How have you been, Leto? For a moment he looks helplessly surprised. His elder veneer cracking. Then Leto seems to look at you again for the first time. I've been thinking about my friends, he says. Jasper's dead. The mortals I knew between the wars and just names in old New Yorker articles. Dove does her job, but I know she hates being trapped here. I'm starting to feel old, Babylon. I want to fly away. Is it beckoning? Is it like being a mortal and knowing that you're about to fall sick? Can't remember what that's like, but You approach him as carefully as you dare. He lets you stand next to him, shoulders touching, as he stares at wall armed with old oil paintings, the long, long dead. That would make me actually extremely uncomfortable. Like, romantic interactions are romantic, but here you kind of approach the person just kind of, Jesus Christ, shoulders touching, why? That seems awkward. Photographs line another wall. Leto in a French airman's uniform during the Great War, 1917. Uh-oh! Hello, Zara! Patermuster with Thomas Mann and Bertolt Brecht at restaurant in Santa Monica, 1942. The warlock Jasper Knowles and DSP Totordor in Las Vegas, smiling in their tookie outfits, 1960s. A grim-looking man in a boxing suit. Boxing suit! Boxing suit! The Ventry who once ruled Tuscan with smiling and golden-haired Donald Trump in the foreground, Leto and Dove half hidden behind. 1987! I'm just gonna imagine that Ventry in a boxing suit now. Thank you very much. He's just there standing in his red underwear and the boxing gloves, because that is what my mind registers as a boxing suit. You know, it's sad that even with the expansion, I believe that there's no Malkavian clan, Weibo, yet. Because my reading comprehension totally fits it. A beautiful black-haired woman in the Spanish Riviera, wearing a sun hat under the light of the full moon, 1920. That night, you poached blood dolls from the Archbishop of Marbella, hid in crumbling fortifications that no mortal had seen in 200 years, and you even flew again and crashed again, but the Neurot 20 got you safety to Gibraltar and last secret palace of Banu Hukim in Europe, and then under the moonlight... that's not my memories. Babylon? It's Leto. What else would it be? Babylon! The Prince of Discount calls you back to the 21st century. He holds you so you don't fall and look for something in his office, anything that can recall you to yourself. We traveled all over the world in these nights, Leto says, gently making sure you can stand, then looking at the photos. Like foolish neonates. And it's not like any of us were young. But that's all over now. I'm entombed here. Not even Dove drives anymore. Dove thinks I'm too merciful as a prince, Leto goes on, but I don't punish people for who they are. A friend of mine was embraced unlawfully in Los Angeles, and then Prince Delacroix, I'm sure you know the story. A friend of yours! And I didn't destroy my predecessor's children, you may have noticed. Indeed, those blue bloods are always skulking around upstairs. Except for one after he conspired to consume Nvidia Cal. Why, he thought I would tolerate him drinking another vampire's soul just because of his former status. Anyway, I allow clanless into the Elysium and permit thin bloods to traverse my domain, and I have even helped them reach paramusters at St. Basil's Hospital. In my time as prince, I have never once called a blood hunt. I choose to believe it is because my people respect me and have committed no crimes that make it necessary. My point, Babylon, is that I'm not gonna punish you simply for associating with Julian Sim. I mean, we did eat a person. I don't really want you to know about that, though, just disclosed that you killed a person for that before. I kinda just wanna flirt with you, honestly. And nothing else. I'm of one-tracked mind, and this whole playthrough is just Myrta being horny for a picture of a prince. I'm sorry, my mind has completely frozen. This is like so unlike my own life. Which spiritually has been on the interesting front. Regular-wise, it's been pretty normal as far as lifetimes go. Average. Things are really not too bad, except for all the weird experiences that I keep on having because I kinda invited them in, but that makes life interesting, honestly, but if there was supernatural prince somewhere around here, I would be totally hitting on it. That's just very much like me. This is very much like me. I stay calm and turn on the charm to persuade Leto I'm not a threat. Prince Leto, I'm not working for Julian. We used to work together, that is all. I suppose you really don't think you're working for Julian Sim, Leto says. On the other hand, you're a courier. How can you be sure? Which is a fair point. Prince of Tuscan turns away from you to study a table littered with mementos, playbills, engine parts, a single cowboy boot. A Quran? Quran? Not the Quran. What's a... Is that a typo or is that a word? Oh, that is the right spelling of the Quran. Thank you. That's okay. A long curved knife, still in turquoise-studded sheath. He picks it up, tests its weight, and he says, "Tell me what you know about Ayla." This isn't good. Banu Hakim Elder! I can recite some facts. You recite facts and historical figures with smooth confidence, describing appearances by Allah from the Crusaders to the Great War, then tracing her lineage back through Caliph Ali Ahmed to Cain himself, if one believes such things. Leto is impressed and seems convinced that you know about her chiefly through academic curiosity. We knew each other during the war, he says, and for a little time afterward. He points to the photo taken on the Spanish Riviera. What does she have to do with... You point vaguely toward the street somewhere outside, which Dove and Carlos are probably still watching with worried expressions as the carrier they await does not arrive. Soon, Prince Leto says. He draws the curved knife, studies the blade, slides it back into its sheath, and he steps forward as he's right in front of you. But first, I have a question for you, neonate. No need to be so harsh. I'm trying to be very flirty here. You could be like, darling. And it's important that you answer me quickly and honestly. Touches your face with a cool white hand. Do you know that Julian Sim consumed the soul of Ayla? Conflicting emotions crash through you. Some of them aren't your own. They're echoes of the elder you devoured alongside Julian Sim. You remember that night Julian's courage failed him. He encouraged you to finish the work he began, and you did. Julian found her and brought you to her, but he did not consume her. When I asked that you answer me quickly, Prince Leto says, I did not mean after a suitable period of stupefaction. I like you, Babylon, but that buys you less patience than you might imagine. Hello, Pirate Vivo! We're trying to pick an answer here. I like how the prince was like, answer me quickly and honestly. And I froze. I myself froze. I'm like, and no, Julian, he wouldn't do such a thing. Because, well, technically, I'm the one that ate the soul, so... Just as you start to speak, someone knocks at the door. Prince Leto ignores it, narrowing his eyes. He studies your face. You feel the power of his blood, and you remember the years spent hiding, afraid that your aura would reveal your crime, but the stains on your soul have faded. After a moment, the Prince of Duskun takes a step back, his expression puzzled. The door bangs again. What is it? We found the last carrier, Dove's voice said, flat and hard. The Eagle Prince studies you for another moment, then opens his office door. She's dead, Dove tells Leto as she enters. We found her car 2 blocks away. She crawled into one of the safe houses, but couldn't reach the phone. That's all of them, Leto says. I'm here, Carlos is here. You couldn't even track a single white, Leto snaps. Maybe we'll send Carlos in his Corolla if we have to, but not you. Did she talk? Dove asks, gesturing at you. She actually looks a little concerned for your well-being. It's okay, the prince is charming and merciful. Let's just never tell him that we ate the soul. I don't think he's that kind of guy. Leto stares at you again, his grey eyes shimmering and his expression different from anything you've seen before. Thoughtful? Or he almost looks puzzled, like someone touched by the kindred's mental arts. But who could influence an elder? Shakes his head. Julian didn't consume Isla, Prince says. I'm sure of it. Stares right at you. And he doesn't figure it out. Or does he? Maybe your feelings are preventing you from thinking clearly. That's how a lot of vampires meet their final deaths, you know? When you just get like too hot for somebody and they just completely blank out. Important shit is happening. Yep. Sounds like a familiar feeling. Well, not really. I never actually blanked out when important shit was happening. Feelings are kinda hard for me, but you know, that's just me. Huh? Dove says, didn't expect that. So what do we do about Julian Sim? Just some anarch, Leto says with a dismissive wave of his hand. But we still don't know where he's operating out of. Isn't that strange? He used to work off Denver. Where's this lab now? Why don't we know? We had bigger problems, Leto says. We have to deal with the SI before we end up like Dallas or Flagstaff. Well, if you're not gonna destroy this neonate, you may as well put her to work, Dove says. Oof. I didn't know that destruction was on the table. I was just thinking about that ass. That sounds like important information, honestly. You know that Second Inquisition tried to recruit me at an AutoZone, right? I see everything that happens in my town, Babylon, Leto says. Dove looks shocked. Can we trust her too? We can trust her not to work for an organization dedicated to eradication of all kindred, the princess. Leto signals for Dove to close the double doors. His smile, warm and sincere, and his hand twitches as if he wants to reach for you, but once Dove turns back around, he's all business. That might be for the best, with Dove here, and well. The Second Inquisition has been quiet for years, Leto says. You may have noticed a recent downturn in your business as a courier, Babylon. That's because many in the local Camarilla were convinced that they had contained the threat. They started sending emails again, using phones. I did not. That's why the Viper is still standing, while the Elysiums in Flagstaff and Santa Fe and a dozen Havens and Allens are smoking ruins. At least we think they are. There aren't enough couriers left to tell us what happened. I can stop the Second Inquisition. I can hit them so hard that they leave us alone for half a century, but to do that, I need you to make 3 more runs over the course of the next month. These are strictly driving jobs. You pick things up, you drop them off. I will pay you $5,000 per job, plus inducements for excellent service, of course, and you can deal with them in whatever way you see fit, but they all must be completed within, he looks at Dove, 26 nights, Dove says. She doesn't elaborate. You know what? I will work, but please give me a cover-up so that nobody's on my ass. That would be very helpful. You have done an excellent job maintaining the Masquerade in Tuscan, Leto says. That's part of the reason why I trust you with this. Let me drive, Dove says suddenly. Just once, I have a plan. The prince glances her way. Babylon has protected the Masquerade, true, but the SI still knows about her, Dove says. When she leaves, the SI will follow if they can. Let me draw them off. Just one trip. In a big circle. Okay, Leto tells Nosferatu, do it. Give this neonate her work and I'll get my Chrysler, Dove says, smiling. First, the Toreador, the Espine, runs a nightclub in Dallas, the Prince of Tuscan tells you. Courier was supposed to arrive from there with information. He never made it. You need to succeed where your predecessor failed. Second, there's ruined research facility just across the border in Utah. Jasper Knowles and NVIDIA Cal were both involved in research there. So was your sire. They did a good job stripping the place, but Knowles left an emergency cache there in case the Inquisition should begin again. I need that cache. Finally, we need to destroy Reremos. No! Dove screams. Other princes would twist their underlings' heads off for an outburst, but Leto just raises his hand. His voice is stern, though, when he says, if that monster awakens, he will march across the desert and draw the attention of every hunter in the United States. Babylon, when you and Julian Sim were fledglings, you provided Reremos with prey. I need you to transform some scanning equipment to his domain so we can find him. Okay, that sounds like all of these are kind of dangerous jobs now. I'm also not actually too worried about the research facility because I have quite a lot of technological skill. So I actually think that I should hit that one up first. At the dead Nosferatu underneath the ground is the more worrying one because elder we've been feeding blood to. Just sleeping? Leaving scanning equipment there. Let's start from the place where I think that I'm the least likely to expire. What sort of research facility are we talking about? Are you familiar with Biosphere 2, the old research facility about an hour north of here? The prince asks. Vito, she's a fledgling. She only knows about the Polly Shore movie, Dove says. There were several experiments in maintaining a self-contained ecosystem before Biosphere 2, which were more of a public relations stunt than anything else, Leto says, ignoring the Nosferatu. The first was conducted by United States government in the early 1970s in collaboration with the consortium of oil and natural gas companies. Once they understood the possibility of climate apocalypse created by greenhouse gas emissions, they enticed undocumented immigrants with promises of employment and experimented upon them medically and psychologically in a sealed environment as resources dwindled. They didn't learn anything, Dove says. Nothing a good war wouldn't teach you about the limits of human endurance and depravity, Leto says. But the usurpers who crept into Biosphere Zero, as it's called now, learned a great deal. My old friend Jasper buried an emergency cache there full of his discoveries. Now it's an emergency. I want it. Yeah, I'll go and grab the emergency kit first. I expect the facility to be technologically booby-trapped, and that's one skill that we actually have. Trust your judgment, Leto says, a tenderness in his voice that draws Dove's attention and suspicion. I'll have more information for you tomorrow night. Oh, and one last thing, stay off the highways. Besides contracts in regular government and police agencies are all over them. They'll slow you down, but it's only a 2-night trip instead of one. That seems to be a signal for your departure. Dove rises and opens the door. When you step toward the door, you feel Leto move toward you, then freeze. He wants you to stay, but no, except you can't say it. And you have work tonight. Can't see Dove, but you wonder if Dove or Leto suspect your interest in both of them. That might be a problem. Turn to your apartment and park the Tacoma. Where to tonight? What do we have? That's... Wounds 1. Oh god, hunger is full. Oof, we definitely wanna eat. Like, right now. Right now. What's in my inventory? Do I have any money? Oh, well, 3,000. Not bad. I spend money and acquire some blood because Jesus bloody Christ, that's dangerous. Alexandra provides you with a young woman who discovered her parents brought her here illegally when she tried to apply for college and is now trying to raise money any way she can. You're soon sated. I am so happy that we did not drain that woman. I mend my wounds. That's always a good idea. Do. Hunger is at 2 now. Not gonna spend more money to push that down by 1 because that's not a lot. A push. I am quite worried that we're just... not up to the task, but don't want to spend too much money. I actually want to save it so that we can upgrade our house again, and then we can get maximum level of skills possible. But I do want to unlock at least something. Can I actually add one more skill point to a maximum of these? Yep, you need a more secure and well-appointed haven before you can master this level of fortitude. Fair enough. I will level up celerity twice. To worst case scenario, I can move fast. So now I am a smart girl. The ability to hone in my skills. I mean, with the ability of hone in on my enemies. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Now it's time to dig up that emergency cache. That's where I'm going first. Sunrise is at 7 AM. That's preferable to when it was before, so that's nice. You open your Tacoma and drive from your apartment to the Viper. You tune the Tacoma's radio to hear the news. This is Melpomene Chan, and you're listening to Mel at Midnight. Do the dead walk among us? One man says yes. Greg Halden, professor of philosophy at the University of Arizona, claims that he has uncovered an elaborate conspiracy of computerized deception stretching back decades that has allowed criminals, illegal immigrants, and science of the moneyed international elite to establish new identities as the recently deceased. Professor Halden plans to unveil his findings once his Freedom of Information Act request gains him access to a federal database that has tracked immigration deaths for the past 65 years. That's good! It throws us off. Actually, what? So Masquerade violations are at 0. Thankfully. Generation 11th is not that great. I like how we ate an elder and yet our generation bloody barely moved. God damn it, it's like it wasn't even worth the trouble. Relationships. Camarilla. Second Inquisition hostility is low. I would love if it was even lower. Camarilla relationship is excellent, which is I'm all for it, and Julian's relationship is terrible, which I'm all for it as well. You have a long trip ahead of you, and the light has barely faded in the west by the time you roll into the nightclub parking lot. You wait for a moment until you remember that a guy whose name you never learned, the one with the Ed Hardy shirts, was apparently the Second Inquisition spy. You never learned what happened to him. Preferably nothing good. You head inside. The Viper isn't open yet, and without its crowds and with the regular lights shining on the bars and dance floor, it looks tacky and cheap. This rock is so warm! I know that that's like completely off topic right now, but Chrysoface looks, it normally brings luck and friends, okay? Just so warm. It's friendly rock. It is. I got distracted by the warmth of my own rock. That's nice. Okay. Where were we? Alexander is behind one of the bars. He waves you over with an archaic beckoning gesture. Your Lobo snuffles around under the tables for discarded food. You have been warned to stay off the highways, yes? Alexander asks. And you got rid of your phone? You shrug. You're here for the information on the job, not so that Alexander can interrogate you. And the job doesn't sound easy. Have GPS coordinates, you tell Alexander. Is there anything else I need to know? Watch out for Mr. Sims people, Alexander says. They might know the general location of Professor Knoll's cache and try to follow you to the exact coordinates. Might need to run some of the Julian goons off the road. Does Julian employ couriers? What am I up against? I'm told Mr. Sim has a driver of his own, Alexander says, but details of his operation remain unclear to us. Be ready for interference and anticipate Mr. Sim's people stupidly using telecommunications technology, even if it is compromised. One of those retainers beckons for Alexander, and the old ghoul uses her as an excuse to avoid answering any further questions. We cycle back to the most important question. Where do you shelter during the day? You can't make the whole trip in one night on the back roads and the camera lanes in such chaos that they can't tell anyone you're coming. Wrapping yourself up inside your truck's possible, but it takes skill to secure oneself and cunning to know where to hide, where you won't be disturbed, because if you're disturbed, there goes eternity! Is this the kind of eternity that you want to live? That's the right question, I believe. And you can't just stay at the first motel you see now. The Inquisitions is everywhere, and though you're loaded down with false license plates and fake IDs, anything unusual will draw attention. Trouble here will expose you to the sun and almost certainly draw enough notice to violate the Masquerade. You know what? I used my tech skills to rig up a portable shelter inside my truck. I trust my tech skills. Otherwise, I would have been just sinking into the dirt. Hello, cold moon. Nice. Clock turns tonight evening to you too. Clock turns in literally 2 minutes. Putting together portable shelter isn't hard. You always keep a double-lined body bags in your Tacoma in case of emergencies. The trick is assembling one that absolutely will not draw attention if you park on the side of the road. You do plan on living forever after all, and getting dragged out of your tarp by some curious state trooper to burn in the midnight sun would ruin that plan. You spend several hours rebuilding and reconstructing your portable shelter, making sure everything is ready. Then you do it again so you have a spare. You consider your next idea. The first thing you do is look for a place where your Tacoma won't get noticed. There's no shortage of fields, empty lots, and quiet alleyways, and you quickly find an ideal out-of-the-way place. An empty lot full of old tractors. You check and double-check your kit. Shining lights in and out, it's ready to go. This can't even be a long-term solution, but it will do for today. You let Shadow out to guard your truck, then crawl inside and seal yourself in. You'll be safe for tonight. I am planning as Gangrel, hence why I can sink into the earth if need be, and I'm playing as an intelligent Gangrel on top of that. I don't know how I ended up in this situation, but we're fucking smart. Ah yes, I know, how dare I not bury myself into the dirt. But I trust my brain more than I trust my claw. My claw is the second best option, not the first one. As you get back on the road heading west, you scan your rearview mirrors for signs of pursuit, but it looks like you're clear. You head for the deep desert. I hope that it doesn't, impact us that badly, because we're like, oh, it will take us 2 nights to get there because we're using the back roads. But we wasted over 2 hours learning how to build a terp. To avoid major cities, you spend a few hours taking back roads, then head north past the Grand Canyon to the southwest corner of Utah. A route that keeps you away from Las Vegas. Oh boy, I bet Utah's excited for the vampire traffic. The side roads are beautiful in the starlight. That's nice to know. You notice a tail while heading west on Route 319, about half an hour past the Utah-Nevada border. Actually, it's at least two tails, switching off so a less observant driver wouldn't notice. You see the narrow headlights of Nissan Leaf, and then headlights all you remember. It's that Camaro again, the black IRZ with gold trim you saw a few weeks ago while you were heading to Kiowa Exceedno Genetics. Almost certainly following you with plans to grab the data cache. Shadow growls faintly, though there's not much they can do. There's a town coming up, you might be able to lose them there. Shadow, my dog! Yeah, I do have a pupper. Puppers are cute. I'm actually not so sick about my car, but I'm just wondering whether my car is even good enough to out-pursue these people. What is my car good at? I remember getting the car for like... Do I have a car page? Probably in the inventory. I got it for literally durability. It's not super maneuverable, it's a bit fast. Sure, I'll try and just accelerate out of there. That's not gonna work, but try. Town's main road is a straight way for as far as you can see. The roads running perpendicular are either dead ends or equally straight. The RNCZ bides its time in your rearview mirror, then it starts to fall back again to let the Nissan take its place. It's time to act. No side road is going to save you here, but then you spot a minivan turning out to the main street. You slow down to sort of say, "Go ahead, make your turn." And when they pull out, you accelerate and lay on your horn. The minivan freezes in a panic right in the middle of the road. You dart in the left-hand lane and accelerate as the Camaro hits his brakes, swerves, and almost hits the Nissan. That Camaro is blistering in a straightaway, but the driver is all snarled up, and as you blast into the pasture land outside of town, you see that you're clear. You kill the lights, turn onto the side road, and watch the Camaro and the Nissan blast past you 30 seconds later. He won't find you again, at least until you reach the coordinates. I can't believe that we managed that with a car at 2 out of 5 speed! It's a bad car. It's not a good one. Wait, wasn't the time supposed to turn yet? I'm so confused. When is the time turning? No, actually, we did kill one person. Which was the person that I fed on, and I wasn't even that hungry. This game's weird like that. From there on end, I paid for my blood. Though, when the last time I was in Camarilla territory, like helping them sniff out all of the spies and shit in their dance floor, apparently I had 5 hunger. But then I paid for some more blood, and I got to train a girl, and I'm so happy that she didn't die. I'm amazed as to how, considering that we managed to get that hungry. You see familiar headlines twice more as you drive north up Route 93, but there's a lot of Nissans on the road. Still, you feel like you're being followed. A few old barns dot the otherwise empty landscape. You memorized your locations in case you need to cover for the day. Soon you pass faded, warning restricted, no trespassing, photography is prohibited, signs and falling chain link fence. You go off-road to reach the exact coordinates. A black ruin rises against the desert sky ahead, an irregular hulk of poured concrete and broken glass. These are fresh tire marks on the path ahead. That's not good. You approach obliquely, lights off, and spot a GMC Savannah conversion van With its parking and interior lights on, a half-dozen people are in or near it. This place was supposed to be deserted. Yeah, I have it. As in, I have it purchased, but I haven't played it yet. What's the EST time right now? Fair enough. I have about 54 minutes before my witchy connection ritual in one of the Discords. That's why I always have trouble streaming on Saturdays, because of the connection ritual being very awkwardly at like 2 AM for me. You spend a few minutes watching the group while shadow circles the campus of Biosphere Zero. 6 people, 3 men, 3 women, ranging in age from their 20s to their 60s. Phones, laptops, dedicated recording equipment, enough food and supplies for a week, ropes, crowbars, helmets with attached lights. They're equipped for serious exploration. You know what? I'm just here for the cash and literally nothing else. Can I get close to the coordinates without these mortals noticing? The short answer is no. The coordinates are down to the meter. They're inside the main structure of Biophase Zero. Now that you're closer, you can see the building as something other than a black hulk. You remember the glass and white steel of the Biosphere 2 ecology experiment from when you were still alive, but this structure is older and uglier. Heap of poured concrete, abraded by the desert winds. This is RuneScape melody, but I swear it's from Lestat movie. God damn it! What am I remembering right now? Yeah, I swear it's the same sound. Okay, it's gonna bother me now. I'm sorry, RuneScape, where did you get that music from? It probably isn't the same sound. Let me check. Am I mistaking violins? I hope that I am. Where did I hear that violin from? I swear it's similar. Fair enough. It's still a bit different. Okay, RuneScape music, you get a pass there. When your own music starts bothering you because you're like, I heard this somewhere and it wasn't in RuneScape. Okay. So then, Biosphere. Other buildings equally dismal make Biosphere Zero resemble a particularly grim community college campus. That sounds like a great way of spending your time. I mean, particularly grim community college campus, that is. I swear that violin's now grating on my nerves because I'm like, I remember it from somewhere. More intact than I thought, you catch from one of the mortals. Yeah, I thought it would be stripped clean or guarded. Why hasn't anyone... The desert wind picks up and the voices fade. Stop, double, and triple checking everything. A grey-haired man in faded denim tells the youngest member of the crew, a woman with a shaggy pink pixie cut. Let's get inside. Rick still hasn't showed up, the woman with the pink hair says. There's a brief conversation about Rick, who apparently is their computer guy. You listen carefully. Another older man, this one in tactical pants and windbreaker, takes a bolt cutter and snips the chain strung across the metal door. As he moves, you notice he's got concealed pistol on his jacket. A younger guy with a bushy yellow beard is the first through. He scans the interior with a flashlight and shrugs and heads inside. The others start moving in. They're moving toward the coordinates of your cache. Not fast, but eventually they'll get there. You know what? I can totally pull off being a research scientist, I think. I mean, my charisma is absolutely fucking awful, but my character's intelligent. Waving Shadow back for now, you cross the dusty open ground between your hiding spot and the metal door, get one of the mortals between you and the guy with the concealed weapon and say, "Excuse me." They still jump a little, so you hastily launch into their spiel. "Rick sent me, you say. He says you might need some help with old technology." "What happened to him?" A middle-aged woman already wearing a helmet asks. Gaetano's worried. "Oh, he's okay, but..." "Then why isn't he here?" The guy with the blonde beard. Yeah, the guy with the blood beard. Bloody guy, that's the murderer. That's just like covered in blood, says. The guy with the blonde beard says, standing in the metal doorway. You can feel the tension in the air, but not suspicion. "He didn't tell me, but look, he said I should help out." "God damn it, Rick," the woman in the helmet mutters. She seems to buy your story, but the others are skeptical. "You're from University of Tuscan," the bearded guy says. "Yeah, I'm happy to do whatever you need." "Well," the woman in the helmet says, "we'll take any help we can get. Let me fill you in." Everyone heads through the metal door. I wonder what I got filled in as. I mean, who hired them? That seems like a good question. I could say it. I mean, Rick told me to just be here, so I'm just here. I don't know anything about any money, but you know, from my perspective, that's useful information. After scouting out the ruined entryway, you help them set up lights in high-ceilinged atrium. Atrium! The heck is an atrium? Let's just set up some lights in some aquariums, why don't we? Careful to avoid being recorded as they get to work. The group is standoffish and suspicious, but they relax a little once they learn you have a dog. After a few rounds of introductions, you're able to put names to faces. Stephanie, all-gowned woman in well-worn clothes, and Janet, a 20-something with pink pixie cut, and our journalists. Tex, they really call him Tex, and Ophelia are scientists. Ecologists, which makes sense for a biosphere. Closed biosphere, mind you, so no, it doesn't make like super a lot of sense. Imagine you're a chemist, okay? Please tell me, what do you do? Do you like sit somewhere and research samples, or do you break into old chemistry labs that have been stripped clean? I'm out of drink. So I have this coffee. Don't worry, my reading comprehension is great for me being sober, as you can see. Considering we wanna set some lights in aquariums with a blood-bearded guy. It would be worse with alcohol. I mean, I can always remove my glasses and be really squinting at the letters instead. Really though, sometimes I can see without them, sometimes my eyes are just not very adjusted. It depends on the day. Or the night. The night currently. Tex has a big blonde beard and a big steel crowbar. And a crowbar? Yes, a big steel crowbar bard. The bard that sings about crowbars. God damn it now, can't even say bard or bar. Bar! Is excited to knock down some doors. Ophelia, middle-aged, small and wiry, always wears a helmet with a headlamp and carries the ropes. This is just her regular, everyday aesthetic, people. I fully understand you, Cold Moon. Thankfully, England doesn't have sunlight. That is our secret. Well, the last time I was outside, somebody screamed at me, so I just... Nighttime has less people, and less people make for less weird experiences outside. I have enough weird experiences on the internet as this, with some people now just saying that I give off weird vibes, and I'm trying to recruit them into a cult by just chatting. So yeah, I get run out of a lot of spaces. So the less people, the better, and nighttime is very nice for that. Paul works security and keeps everyone organized. He's the older guy with the concealed weapon. The other old guy is Antonio. He is apparently a lawyer with a focus on immigrant rights. As you work and chat, you slowly figure out what the group is doing here. They're here to find records of the experiments the federal government ran on the prisoners here. The journalists plan on pitching the story, while Antonio has an obvious political motivation for learning the truth. The scientists are here because they can understand the nature of the research, though without Rick, their computer guy, they're not sure if they can access the old computers. They're going to need to find hard copies. After an hour of preparatory work in the dreary atrium, the group stops to eat and checks Twitter, and you remember Prince Leto is counting on you. You beg off to make a call, borrow a GPS device, and head for the exact coordinates. You pass through the grey and crumbling atrium, the section of interior wall that's given away. Faded paint stripes run along the ground and walls to direct people, but the signs are all gone. Picking your way through the rubble and darkness illuminated only by the group's increasingly distant halogen lights, you step through the hole into an interior courtyard open to the night sky with all the cheer of prison yard. Woo! Prison! Cheery! Mwah! There's your target right in the middle of the courtyard. Even as you approach, you can see signs of recent excavation. Whatever was down there, it's gone. Stare into the open hole. Of course this was gonna happen. It's not like you to go out of kill by xenogenetics without getting almost melted by a furious blood witch, or dropped off your message at St. Basil's without getting dragged into Paternoster's scheme to stop the expansion. These drag marks all over the courtyard. Whoever moved the cache did it so recently they might still be here, and when you were outside you didn't see fresh tire marks leading out. You need to figure out where in Biosphere 0 somebody dragged the cache. If you're 2 meters tall, I'm not surprised that people are scared of you in a school. That sounds like a giant on a playground. Where you just like come in and you're like 3 people tall and you're like, hello fellow children. I'm sorry. Tall people are cool. Don't step on me. To be fair, I'm not that far off, but maybe 30 centimeters off, but still. But investigation will have to wait. It's an hour to down, and you still need a place to stay. You head back to the group and explain that you drove all night and you need to sleep. Then head deeper into the building. The missing signs make the place hard to navigate, but they left one and the Westminster-like font says, "Gym ahead!" You follow it to a windowless shower attached to an empty gym. Long storage bench, just the right size for vampires. Oh, how considerate! You set Shadow to guard your temporary haven and fall asleep. That is very important, thank you. Holy shit! The shouting wakes you early. You check the knockoff Panerai. It's still 5 minutes to sunset. Aching with exhaustion and growling hunger, you rise. No sunlight enters these rooms, so you drag yourself into the empty gym. Shadow only tilts her head quizzically. Antonio, the immigration lawyer, and Ophelia, her headlamp shining, skid into the gym and spot you. There she is, Ophelia says. Where were you just now? Antonio says. The old lawyer is suspicious. Of what? Sleeping, you say. And you're convincing, because you can barely stand. Vampires look like corpses during the day. What's the problem? Hex is dead, Ophelia says. You grab your stuff and follow Ophelia down to a winding, unlit corridor full of abandoned furniture to an office complex. Hex is face down on a metal office desk, his throat shredded. Ouch! There's blood all over the felt partition of the cubicle farm. A brief investigation reveals the text has been drained of all blood. God damn it, it wasn't me that done it. I could use a snack too. Please have mercy and give Murta free blood. Thank you. I am of average height for a Eastern European woman. Like, I want to say 1.70 m, but I'm actually like 1.69 m because I lost some height as I aged. This isn't my proudest moment, but still. What about 168? 168, 169. I'll say that I'm 170. Forever 170, you can't stop me. But apparently, on the average heights of Western society, that actually makes me taller than the average. Not tall enough to be a model by a long shot, plus nobody would actually want me as a model, but taller than your average woman, apparently. Apparently. The others gather around like silent mourners. Stephanie sets up a floor lamp and they've set at the corpse as you look for footprints. You and Antonia follow an overturned metal chair to an adjoining room full of old TV broadcast equipment, but that's where the trail ends. Even Shadow can't pick anything anymore. Do you know what killed him? You ask when you come in. Oh yes, they will just know what killed it. I know what was keeping him alive, Janet says. His neck. Without that, he just... Show some fucking respect, Paul snaps at the pink-haired woman. She's like, yeah, you kinda need the neck to function, thumbs up. Yeah, I agree. We're not in disagreement there. You're all in terrible danger. Get in the van and leave, please. I don't want more dead people around me. We already had that conversation, Ophelia says. Well, finding out what happened here. You look back at Ophelia. Antonia and the journalist saying you can almost understand, but she's just an ecologist. What's her angle? First got interested in Biosphere Zero. Oh, now you're gonna give me an angle that keeps you here despite your friend dying? From an ecological perspective, Ophelia says, but now it's more than that. Our world is dying, Babylon, and there's our powerful people trying to kill it. Some of them worked here, some of them are still alive. They're senators and lobbyists. They taught me biology in college. I'm going to learn their names, Ophelia says, and then Stephanie and Janet are gonna tell everyone. She glances back to the other two journalists. We're not leaving. So that's that. The group makes sure that walk-in freezer is running properly. That will serve as an improvised morgue for Tex until they can get him home. I really need to cover up some vampire footmarks here. If anyone discovers that Tex is like missing his blood supply, that might be suspicious. Then again, his throat is kind of torn. You would kind of expect people to kind of miss their blood supply when that happens. I mean, how does bleeding out work, right? Everyone makes sure that freezer is cold enough, which gives you time to investigate the missing cache again, but though you see signs of disturbed earth and drag marks, the end suddenly on the concrete floor, you find the folder labeled emissions data 1945 to 1970 where the drag marks end, but it's empty. Shadow can't pick up a trail and you can't find any footprints. The explorers return to the camp in the atrium. They stay close together and listen to Paul, though you're not sure he's qualified to keep anyone safe. He was a civilian contractor in Afghanistan, which means that while he might technically know how to secure a perimeter, his behavior might put people at risk. Their plan is to explore the whole facility and eventually find their own cache, a record of everyone who worked at Biosphere Zero and what crimes they committed here. It won't be easy. One section of the atrium is completely collapsed and another wing's ceiling has caved in, leaving in the stew with rubble. Come on, words. Leaving it strewn. Rockstone Desert. Why can I say it when I'm doing Path 5 working, but I can't when I'm reading? Leaving it strewn with rubble and dangerous to cross, and the place is huge, but they're determined. Yeah. Cold moon. Cold. Yeah, the familiar feeling. My family would travel when I was a kid for holidays because my mother fancied herself middle class. Probably by country standards she was. So that means that we went on holidays twice a year, which I completely don't appreciate being a kid. And I don't actually have a lot of memories from them. I just remember being deathly afraid of flying. I could do with exploration of the world these days, but I don't have the monetary means, and it's the pandemic, and holidays are just not on my horizon. But back then I did not appreciate them at all, and I have very few memories of it, but we would travel to Spain quite often. I distinctly remember my parents asking me not to accidentally squish people on the train with my luggage, because my luggage was the size of people. It is a very tiny nation. I agree. Yeah. It's like everybody's still like your midriff and you're like, the heck? You know what, I slip away anyway and check the cache location again. I'm just here to find Jasper Knowles' data and get it back to Prince Leto, that's it. I'm not too sure how checking the cache location multiple times will help, but still. Oh yeah! It would be like, what? Tiny people! I mean, I'm not... England isn't like that tiny, but they're still a lot smaller than Lithuanians are, and Lithuanians are kind of smaller than Norwegians are, so... And then you go to Spain, and it's just tiny people. It's all the sun, it doesn't let you grow. Judging by the size of the hole, the cache fit into a suitcase. That's good. It's not like an entire mini-computer from the 70s. But where the hell is it? No trail remains anywhere around the courtyard. You also head up to the second story of the atrium where a window looks down on your Tacoma. It's fine. But then you can see headlights on one of the dusty trails a few miles away. You feel it in your bones that the camera is out there waiting to snatch Jasper Knowles' cache. But that's interesting, isn't it? Camera is waiting. Its driver didn't dig up the cache, because if they did, they would have left with it. When you get back, the explorers have spread out on the old map and are arguing about where to investigate first. They fall silent when you and your shadow reappear. They're a little afraid of you. That's an ugly part about being a vampire, but you might be able to use that to direct their actions. The map is bad photocopy, actually, a copy of mimeograph, but it outlines some interesting sounding areas, all identified with the same not quite Westminster font as you have seen on the walls: computer hall, forest biosphere zone, agricultural dome, research records, personnel, armory. They know that I'm undead? Or did they just sense it? You would be surprised how much people can just like sense. With more sensitive people, I sometimes get even sensed through chat rooms. And I'm a lot less scary than being undead. I just have a questionable religion. How hungry am I? Oh shit, I'm very hungry. Okay, which of the explorers can I eat? Please. Oh, I'm so sorry for you. I'm so sorry that you had to experience tiny chairs. My mother's partner, from when we used to travel, he couldn't buy clothes abroad in the warm countries because their sleeves would like end here. Like right here, when they're supposed to like stretch there, just because people would have short torsos and stumpy arms. I feed on Janet. She sounds like she has a tasty name. You're going to lose control if you get any more hungry, and you want to feed before the situation here gets any worse. So before you set out that night, you contemplate how to lure the pink-haired journalists away from the others in a way that will give you enough time to feed, but not enough time for whatever else is out there to do the same thing. How about that will give me enough time to feed, but not enough time to accidentally kill the journalist, because I have done that with another person before. Yeah, I'm just gonna celerity that bitch. Hello, Copper Calf. My superhuman speed will help me strike at Janet the moment everyone's back is turned. Celerity that bitch. Camp is well lit and secure from intrusion, and the explorers are always moving about. Paul watches the portable cameras he's set up. Ophelia reviews research data, Stephanie writes in her notebook, and Antonio keeps reviewing names and dates. Nervous after everything that's happened, Janet just wanders. You follow her without looking like you're following her, knowing you only have a moment to strike. Hey, Jade! Hello! We wait for over an hour, Jesus Christ. Finally, she steps behind one of the atrium pillows Pillows? Yes, one of the atrium pillows! We're setting up lights with the aquarium with the bloody bearded man, and now atrium has pillows. Thumbs up. Out of sight, and you move. She never sees you coming. You sink your fangs into her neck from behind. Received. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jade. Sink your fangs into her neck from behind. You drink quickly and deeply. Try not to savor her ecstasy and fear, since you have only seconds in which to act. She falls back into your arms and you lick her neck clean and lean against her pillow and sleep. Yeah, lean her against the pillow! Pillar! And slip back around the other side. Alright everyone, Antonio says a few minutes later. Let me make plans. Looks around until Janet appears around the pillar. Pale and dazed. Janet eats something, he says. You look terrible. Yes. Yes, she does. A computer hall? Could we turn on old computers? At the very least, I know how to turn on old computers! We do have portable generators, Janet says. Doctors to activate the old Deck 10 computers, but our tech guy, Rick, never showed up. You think you can turn them on, though we can try. It would take serious technical knowledge to get these ancient machines up and running, and technical knowledge is one thing that I have, together with brains. And claws! Brains, claws, and technical knowledge, and apparently super speed, because I just struck a woman behind the pillar. And ate her a little bit. Yep, let's do the computer thing. At least I can do the computer thing. Computer hall is on the far side of the office complex where Tex died. You follow Ophelia bobbing headlamp until you reach reinforced door that reads computer hall. The door used to be electronically locked, but it's left open. You head inside to a vast hall with an unpleasantly low concrete ceiling. Harps covered old mini-computers and recording technology, Deck 10 machines, reel-to-reel readers, bulky terminals, all cold and silent. As opposed to warm and buzzing. Oh. I drank like half of Janet in one go. I hope Janet's okay. Paul sets up the portable generator as you wipe dust off one of the machines. It has a manual, so you get reading, but all you're doing is confirming what you already know. You turn the machine on. Lights flash, wheels turn, and the crude terminal blinks online. Interesting! The deckmate terminal dates to 81, after this place was supposed to be abandoned. Was this Jasper Knoll's own interface? Deckmate is oddly clean too. When was the last time someone used it? Names! Janet says as information flickers across the street. Email! Oh my god, those are emails! This is before the domain name system, so it's just H. Zettler at Panacea, Grout at Ukla, Ivan Vaishem at Shell, Burankol at Texaco, and so on. I know some of these names, Antonio says. He's a senator now, Babylon. Please tell me you can print this out. No problem, you say, and an ancient dot matrix printer clatters to life. In 15 minutes, the old Epson has printed out the entire frame of incriminating emails. Antonio is almost weeping with joy, but you are frustrated. Where's the cache? Then you spot the last email entry. Jay Knowles at New York City, November 80. Took 5 years just to organize everything, but the research is basically complete. The Sabbat cannot be trusted with this data, but they're all superstitious cowards. I have placed a sign of the Black Hand on it, which should at least cause them to hesitate. The Black Hand, like the Serbian nationalists during World War I, but maybe Jasper drew a literal Black Hand on the cache. That might narrow down your search. It's so late, it's early, and Antonio looks happy but exhausted. You shepherd the others back to the camp. You're not sure that whatever killed Tex is a vampire, but you take no chances. You convince everyone to spend the day in the open courtyard under the sun. As daylight approaches, you notice more drag marks you didn't see before, and hinged plastic lid. It might have belonged to Jasper Knoll's cache. You rest in a storage room. You find attached to a woman's bathroom guarded by Shadow. You know what? Let's do research records next, because once again, I'm all brawn and nothing else pretty much, so we have to lean into our strengths and research my thing. I can do research. Woo! You talked about that earlier, Janet says, looking at Stephanie. It's right next to one of the main science centers, so probably contains research on, you know, what they did to people here. The problem is it's going to contain huge reams of academic and scientific data that will require analysis. I can probably handle some of it, Ophelia says, but I'll need help. Since Tex is dead, you'll need real brains and academic training to sift through the data for anything useful. But I have that! I have that! The research records hall is past the office complex and attached to the main scientific wing, which has been stripped of equipment, leaving only bare benches, a few chalkboards, and some framed prints by John William Waterhouse and Frederick Layton stacked up against one wall. The researchers took almost everything, but Janet finds a toppled metal shelving unit full of research notes. You set up some lights and start skimming the data. Most of the books are just lists of numbers, vital statistics, and location date notes. It takes you half the night to understand what the data represents. Your people, you tell Antonia. The people they imprisoned here, and these notes remand completed resources to the agricultural facility for recycling. They buried them in agricultural dome, Antonio says, as fertilizer. He grabs his recording equipment and runs off for the facility's largest dome. You're so exhausted that you just keep checking the notes you make. You hear a shout, then 3 quick gunshots from the adjoining laboratory. Oof! You and Shadow run through the open door, flashlight first. The glow illuminates Ophelia lying on her back like a turtle with her helmet askew. She's pointing, one trembling finger outstretched toward the far side of the chemistry bench. You follow her pointing finger until you spot Paul. He's lying in a heap. His H&K VP9 broken, his throat ripped open to the bone just like Tex. You sweep for signs of whoever attacked him, and remembering to check the ceiling. There's some blood, but that's it. Shadow darts back and forth but can't pick up the scent trail. You eventually corral Janet and Stephanie back into the laboratory. The journalists both ran off when they heard the gunshots. Antonia has helped Ophelia back up. We need to leave, Janet says. Her pink hair makes her look unnaturally pale. Yeah, I snacked on you. I'm not surprised you look unnaturally pale, girlie. No, Antonia snaps. If we leave, the feds show up and bulldoze this place and we lose everything. The people they victimized who are still alive lose their chance at justice. You just lost 2 people to this, for fuck's sake. And the government will just do it again. You can go, but I'm staying. So am I, Stephanie says. Ophelia and Janet both nod. They're not leaving. It's fine! This is fine! You know those, like, really shitty horror movies? Where the protagonists, like, somehow get to a place where they're not supposed to be, and instead of running out scared shitless, they just go, we're gonna stay! As our group gets picked off one by one, you're like, brain power! Because that's what it feels like. Have to make sure Paul is laid to rest in the freezer beside Tex, of course. And once that's done, you head for the agricultural dome. Awesome plan! Just stay. If this is anything like Bosnia... Bosnia? Stephanie says, illuminated by the starlight spilling in through the broken glass of the huge dome. From the volume of disturbed earth, I'm guessed at least 50 people were buried here, but I really don't want to estimate until we know more. You're very not shaked up about the fact that 2 people just died like right in front of you and supposedly you know them. Honey, are you okay? I'm the one that has trouble accessing her emotions right now because of the deity that I worship. But honey, I think you lost more humanity than I did. I'm pretty sure you haven't done anything to yourself to cause this, so what the fuck? Were you always like this? Antonia starts taking notes, but you're more interested in the entirely mundane-looking garden shed nearby. It's been opened recently. Someone forced the lock and then chipped metal is still shiny. You surreptitiously open it and find 3 spades, 3 rakes, 3 hoes, 2 shovels. Whoever dug up your cache didn't do it with their bare hands, it seems, and they didn't come with tools. The explorers spend all night around the Masquerade taking photographs and notes, and they're going to spend all day there too. It's almost dawn. You rest a day deep in the old medical wing, which reminds you of the time at St. Basil's. When you rise that evening, you learn the last night's explorations have allowed Antonia to get in contact with the acolyte of Buckminster Fuller. The legendary architect refused to be involved with Biosphere Zero, but he talked about it on a few occasions. The explorers now have access to earlier drafts of Biosphere Zero's layout, which should make the navigation easier. One of the rejected layouts looks familiar, you'd think. Where have you seen it before? Do you consider where to go next? You can't help but to think about whatever is hunting you. A vampire, something worse, whatever it is, it's cunning enough to strike the second your guard is down. Honey, I don't think it's hunting you. I think it's hunting your mortal party. I think it cares not about you, or it wants to toy with you. You know what, I am sick of waiting. I would love to throw down against whatever it is, if it would just stop lurking in the shadows. Mostly because I want their cash back. That's what I need, and I have a time limit for 3 missions, and I'm just... This is dragging on. Your teeth itch, you wanna fight, you commit to staying out front. Maybe even luring the monster in so that you can tangle with it. If you're so lucky, the surviving explorers won't see anything too weird. Unless you just want to stomp this hunter and show it who's boss. You brood on how you would fight this mysterious monster as the explorers get ready. Well, I mean, they're just gonna die one by one at this point, and they're having very little reactions to people dying around them, so they fight their standard. You know what, maybe we should conduct an investigation of the passageways instead of exploring any more specific areas, because that kind of sounds where the cache might be, and that's my primary concern, honestly. And it also sounds like how all of you get killed, but I don't... My character cares. I don't care. That might be a good idea, Antonio says. Maybe you should be more systematic. Meticulous investigation of the corridors would take time and patience, but that might be the best way to track down professionals' cache. I agree! We're gonna conduct a systematic investigation of the corridors to learn everything we can about this place. Explorers' maps are incomplete and often inaccurate. A systematic mapping will help the explorers see how Biosphere 0 fits together and let you cover as much ground as possible looking for the cache. Your work proceeds as systematically and methodically as you can manage given the situation. You'll leapfrog the lights, always keeping everyone in sight as Stephanie takes notes and Antonio makes sure no one wanders off. After several hours, you identify several places not on the map, some more full of emaciated bodies left to rot. For the past 40 years, no less. Did one of the bodies get up? Was somebody just very sleepy and hungry? You know, John is just not John when he's hungry. That's why you always have a Kit Kat. Cafeteria where fighting left 2 jumpsuited men dead of knife wounds, a wall covered in bullet holes and dried blood. An execution site, Antonio thinks. This place makes me highly uncomfortable. Explorers record everything. You notice a shovel left behind the desk. There's fresh dirt on the blade. It's the shovel missing from the shed near the Masquerade. The only shadow, but they can't pick up a scent, and there aren't any tracks leading to or from the shovel. Since you can't share why a shovel interests you without drawing undue attention to a real job, you encourage the others to look around the office. Just about to give up several hours of investigation when you realize that you're alone with Shadow, if only for a moment, and a moment is all that it takes. Oh, please tell me more. Please tell me more, game! You hear a ragged scream from around the corner that dissolves into wet hissing. I'm sorry, how does wet hissing sound? I know what a dry hissing sounds like. But, no, that doesn't work. That does not... Yeah, like... That does not sound right. That does not sound right. I'm sorry if the game adds weird sound effects. I just need to do them to confirm that they're possible. The sound, that sounds like a duck. It's a duck vampire. Oh, my favorite! You sprint down the hall behind Shadow and sweep your flashlight around the corridor. The beam illuminates Stephanie lying on her side on the dirty carpeting, stunned and wide-eyed. Next to her, Ophelia's helmet. You follow your Lobo down the corridor, and there's Ophelia, legs kicking as her shredded neck pumps blood all over her chest. She kicks a few times, then dies. I saw it, Janet says, standing behind you. Some kind of animal! She's pointing flashlight at some stairs leading up, but her flashlight is broken. You sprint upstairs, but there's nothing. No blood trail, no tracks, and Shadow can't pick up a scent. Whatever killed Ophelia is gone. An animal, Janet says, teeth chattering. Bigger than Shadow, huge and so fast I'm gonna be... She throws up on the carpet. Did you see anything? Antonio asks Stephanie as he tries to comfort the other journalist. Something hit me, Stephanie says, and then it was all over. You look at Antonio, wondering if he'll leave. He gives you the slightest shake of his head. Your wanderings mean you're not far from the camp. You keep everyone together and head back. There was a steep price to pay for a few pictures and getting to see a shovel. The survivors are subdued, angry, and haunted, despite Antonio's determination to press on. Stupid fucking ass people from horror movies, go home! Literally nothing would happen if you just packed up and left. You have that option! That option is reconfirmed with you after every single consecutive death. With Paul dead, you become the de facto security officer. Though you conduct a brief search for the hidden killer, you don't find anything, but your flashlight hits one of the few remaining signs. Spill zone! Oh, how fitting. Considering that, you know, one of them spilled all over themselves until they died. It reads in the now familiar Westminster-ish typeface, just like Zeno's genetics. The area is partially collapsed, the ground stone with rubble and broken slabs of concrete. Still, it's interesting. You encourage the explorers to investigate the area, in particular during the day, then rest in a storage room attached to a garage. Nobody ever finds it weird that you tell them to investigate during the day and then you fuck off. You guys, you don't need any sleep. I do. I need my beauty rest. That's why I stay in the container down the corridor. You must know that I'm a vampire, surely. Next evening, you rise to find Antonio holding up a plastic lid. The spill zone, Antonio says. Stripped clean once you get past the broken rocks. I mean completely clean. Nothing left. Not a paperclip or scrap of carpeting. But then we found this. Weird, huh? There, you say. Getting close? You're sure the cash is still there? We need to leave, Janet tells Antonia that night. Before we all die here. I agree, Janet. Please go. Just please go. Antonia sighs and gets up. Stephanie joins, and after a moment, so do you and Shadow. Antonia seems to be coming to some kind of decision. He walks slowly through the atrium toward the spill zone sign. You've never actually been there since the explorers investigated during the day. Would be easier then with light shining in from the broken ceiling. You're right, Antonio finally says. We can't stay. But I think we're being watched. I think that the moment we leave, someone will come here and wipe this place clean. Doesn't matter, you would be alive. What the heck? The fuck's wrong with you? It might be my evil self-preservation instincts, but I honestly couldn't give a shit about anything higher than my own safety and well-being. Literally, this place could house the records for eternal life, and I wouldn't give a shit because I wouldn't see it if I stayed there. I would die, so I'd rather let it burn. Well, if possible, I would like to stay in touch after you leave. Masquerade and shit. Of course, Babylon, Antonio says. You allowed us to stay here for a few nights, and I owe you. What is it? You stopped in front of the black wall in the spill zone. It's true that everything has been stripped, but the cinder block wall with the faded orange paint stripe. I've seen it before. This is where Jasper Knowles kept an Nosferatu This one Julian unleashed on him, but to Jasper's destruction. Well, I've recognized this place and I don't particularly care why, if Antonia knows why. What, from where? Antonia asks. Snuff film, you say. Before anyone can ask more questions, you start climbing over the broken rocks, sweeping a flashlight back and forth so you don't twist an ankle. When you drop down, you confront a vertical split in the wall, wide enough to squeeze through. There's a spot of dirt on the ground in front of it. It's less than a gram, but you recognize it. Oh my god, Antonia says, clambering over the broken concrete. Dirt from the courtyard. What? Stephanie asks. Jen and I were talking about it the other day. There's a big hole in the courtyard like someone dug up. Then he looks at you. Wait, he says, that's why you're here, isn't it? Stephanie kneels down and shines her flashlight through the vertical crack in the wall on the far side in another room, more intact than others, and a metal door. I'm just gonna go investigate the door and stay completely quiet. The crack is wide enough to fit the cache, so you have no problem getting it through. This room seems more stable than the others. The metal door is ordinary and shows signs of recent use. You test it, it's unlocked. It opens to reveal a staircase leading up. You and Shadow take the lead up to the wide concrete staircase, your flashlight beam sweeping through the darkness. The second metal door swings on its hinges half open. The smell that assaults you as you push it all the way open is rank, blood, vomit, formaldehyde, worse fluids and chemicals. It's labeled Cell Block 3 in big stenciled letters, and it's either a laboratory or prison. The far wall is lined with holding cells just barely large enough for a person. The wall to your right is full of old scientific equipment covered in tarps. You spot a modern Chromebook covered in dust on a metal table. Ahead and to the left is some kind of nest made of dirty pillows, fur, and secretions. The smell is nauseating. The music is very inappropriate. There is an acidic reek to the air. The nest has chewed into the concrete, causing it rot and crack. And right in the middle of the room, a battered metal and plastic case, marked with the stenciled black hand, missing one of the two lids. That's it. That's Jasper Knowles' cache. Well, time to get it and get out of here. And you know what? This is where we'll have to stop for tonight, folks. Because I have a connection ritual with House Capera and I really don't want to miss it. Sorry about that. The Switch just does things at like 2 a.m. and on Saturdays. So we're gonna leave on this cliffhanger and I will probably have to replay some part of this game, so here's to me hoping that I remember my choices. And hopefully I actually get to see you tomorrow, because this has been a fairly awful week for streaming, as I have done very little of it. And I would really like to do some more. It is! But when you're trying to do everything the exact same way in order to just get to your save point, it's... But hey! I hope I get to see you all folks tomorrow. Thank you for being here. And good night for now.